part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for stopping by to Sabol Brothers on the Baseline Podcast, all part of the Press Play Podcast Network. Hello again. I'm John Sabol.
And I'm Scott Sabol.
Thank you for tuning in. It is springtime here in Cleveland. Usually that means baseball season starting up, but it's also meaning now after 5 years, we've got a Cavaliers playoff run here. Hopefully it's going to be a deep one. And we're going to talk all about this Cavs-Knicks series coming up here, Scott. With a player who knows all too well about the Cavaliers.
Oh, it's going to be fun. And just talking with him off the microphone, it brings back a lot of memories. And it's hard to believe it's been quite a few years since he was with the Cavs. But we're going to catch up with him. And John, why don't you do the introduction?
All right, let's do this. He played his entire 7-year NBA career with the Cavaliers, a former 2006 second-round pick out of Texas. He was known for some of the big shots and performances during the playoffs in the 2006 through the 2010 seasons. Our guest is former Cavalier and current Cleveland Charge assistant coach. You know him as Booby Daniel Gibson. Daniel, what's good, man? How you been?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys for having me. It's an exciting time, man. I'm glad to be back in the lane.
You know, we're going to get to Booby's thoughts on this Cavs-Knicks playoff series in a moment, and his time with the Cavs and LeBron and his first year as his Charge assistant coach and how that went. But first, you just launched recently in the last week or two your own podcast called Booby's World with our friends over at Big Play. How did that come about?
Man, it was real organic. We talked about, I wanted to kind of have a voice in terms of basketball, just be able to share my opinion with the fans. And I feel like we've developed such a love affair over the years, me and all of the Cleveland faithful, but it's just been basketball. Like, they watch me make threes. So I felt like, why not make it a little more intimate to where we're able to have conversations and have some dialogue and just share our thoughts and just make it interactive. Because I feel like I'm still at an age where I low-key could still be playing. So it's like, my insight's a little different. I'm still connected to the game. So it was just my way of just finding a way to get close to that Cleveland community I love so much.
Was getting involved with the media like this always a plan for you? Even when you were playing, did you foresee this coming down back then?
I wouldn't say I foresaw the media aspect of it, but I kind of got into just by fate. A high profile relationship when I my early years into the league. So I kind of started dealing with TV and entertainment from that point forward. And so even when I stopped playing basketball, I still did shows on VH1. I did MTV's The Challenge. So it kind of just was another thing that just kind of happened organically. I don't have an agent or anybody working for me. I just follow my heart in most situations. And so that's kind of how the podcast happened. That's how the entertainment happened, and really how my career happened. That's just who I am.
That's great. Now, before we start talking about this year's Cavs club and your playing days, you just completed your first season as the assistant coach with the Cleveland Charge. How did it go? Was it everything you expected before you committed to it?
I was one of those guys, man, that was like, man, I don't ever want to coach. Like, that was my thing. Like, I was just, even when I played, I was more of a guy that just did it. I wasn't a guy to be telling other guys where to go. And so this was not something I expected, but I just love basketball so much. I'm such, right now I'm watching the Toronto-Chicago game. And it don't matter, high school, college, whatever, I'm going to watch basketball. And so to stay connected to the game, I joined the ACP program, which is the assistant coaches program that the NBA offers, just to learn it and just to see if it was something I was interested in. They offered me an opportunity to go to the combine. I go to the combine. They got me obviously working in the shooting section for guys that are preparing for the draft. And JB Bickerstaff is there, and he's like, I had no idea that this was something that you wanted to do. He caught me coming up the escalator, and I was like, I didn't either. I was just I was letting my love for the game kind of take me wherever it takes me. And it took me to that moment, and JB was like, you should come with us for Summer League and just see how that goes. And so I go to Summer League and meet Mike Garrity, and he's like, would you be interested in coaching? And the next thing you know, I'm on the staff. But I would say the best part of it all is just how Kobe Altman, Mike Gansey, how all those guys have allowed me to also do like some scouting, some front office things for the Cavs. And so it's just really, I feel like a family from the day that I was drafted. And so it just makes all the sense in the world that my next step now is, coaching or even scouting or some front office opportunities, but just continuing to try to help the Cavs for as long as I possibly can be the best team they could be.
How was that on those bus trips?
Man, they tried to scare me. They tried to scare me and give me all these horror stories about just how long the bus rides are, how bad they are. But it's not bad at all, man. I'm a country boy from Houston, Texas. I do not mind riding on the bus 4-5 hours to go play basketball and really be there for these guys while they chasing their dream. Like, they're right there on the cusp of doing something that they probably wanted to do their entire life. And me taking the role, I'm in a position now to be able to kind of give them some of the tools that I use to make it to that level. And so that was probably the best thing about of it all was the grind of it. The bus rides, we don't got charter flights. We flying commercial just like everybody else. And I feel like that to me was why I accepted the job, because I feel like that's where I could have the biggest impact.
You've mentioned before, and I've read this about you, that you knew at some point in your career, in your life, it would always circle back to Cleveland. And in this situation, it circled back to being an assistant coach in the G League, in the minors. Yeah. I know it's so hard to predict life, and we don't like to do that, even though sometimes it's human nature to do that. Did you ever actually think you were going to come back to Cleveland in some way, some facet?
I don't want to sound psychic, but I always knew. Always knew. I can't say from the moment that Game 6 moment happened, but from that moment forward, just the relationship I had with the community, like every Christmas I have my giveaways, every Thanksgiving I have my giveaways. In the summer I'm working with the youth. So I just knew that the fact that I played for no other team, and I dug my claws into the community and wanted the entire city of Cleveland to know how much I loved them and appreciated the support they gave me on the floor. I really felt like at the end of the day, I don't know how long it was going to take, but that role at some point was going to lead me back here because, this is my second home, and I love it.
You're a fan favorite here. You still are. I know when that news came that you were coming back here to coach, I know there's a big buzz on social media. What is it about the Cleveland fans? I know you kind of mentioned it already, but what is it about the fans here that players that play here, whether you're the Cavs or the Browns or now the Guardians, they love playing here so much?
Because it's just it's that raw, that authentic, that genuine love and feel that you get from a true sports town, like a town that really loves their sports teams, good or bad, And I just feel like whether it's the Browns, the Guardians, or us, like Cleveland fans really want to see you do well. And even if you don't do well, they just want to see you play hard. And I feel like that's where we connected at. You got guys like, your Josh Cribbs and Anderson Varejao, what's my guy? He just retired. Joe
Thomas.
Not Joe Thomas, it was the cornerback, but Joe Hayden.
Joe Hayden.
Yeah. You feel me? Like all of those type of guys that like really embody the Cleveland culture, the grit, the grind, the hard hat, lunch pail type of vibes. And I just feel like that's where the love came from. And like I said, we just from day one, we connected, and it's been a beautiful thing.
So the injury bug hit you, during your career. I'm sure you wanted to play a lot longer. You retired in 2013. Did you ever think that maybe you'd make a comeback, or was there a point where you're like, I'm done?
Yeah, a lot of people like wonder, like, what happened and why did I retire so young? Well, for me, that my final year, I broke my foot. So I tore a tendon in my ankle. And so in my recovery process and coming back from that injury, I ended up spraining my MCL really bad, like right after, kind of like Klay Thompson in a sense, but when you think about Klay Thompson, I was on a free agent deal, so I didn't have a contract coming back the following year when I got injured. So they would have had to basically put me on a team injured already, which, no team's really going to do. They're going to wait till you get healthy and come back around. And so MCL, I go through that. So now it's like mid-season and I'm working to get back in shape, and now it's my back. So now I feel like it just kind of went, how you compensate when you're working out here, and it just starts to, your body starts to fall apart on you. And so you have to reset. And so when I went into the reset box, I just started to feel like, okay, I just don't feel like myself as an athlete anymore. Meaning like I'm not 6'5", 6'7", and I'm not the highest jump in the world. So I was already maxing out on my abilities to be at that level. So now, without my full capabilities, my superpowers no more, it just didn't feel as fun no more. It didn't feel, I didn't feel like I could be myself no more. And I wanted to walk away from the game while, I still felt like myself, and not try to, you had those guys that hang on two more years. And now I feel like maybe I don't have that same connection with the city that I had if, you play 2 terrible years, you know what I mean? While you're trying to fight through your injuries. So I just feel like it was the right time for me. And I had the entertainment side going on. I had other things going on for me that allowed me to be financially stable and be in a position where I felt like, I'd be good for life. After you reach 7 to 8 years in the league, you get your pension. So from that point on, it's just about taking care of your money and just making sure you're making smart decisions.
Well, you make a good point. You don't want to come back being a shell of yourself and then have that legacy, I don't want to say tarnished, but people want to remember you or any athlete in their heyday, not someone that's playing on one leg, so to speak.
I was just having that conversation today with one of the coaches, maybe even Donovan Mitchell was right there with us. And we were just talking about how Bron, last night, after this year 20, and he's still getting 30 in the playing game. That's how many guys, and we just went from that to think about how many guys in year 20 playing like that. And, not to disrespect any of my legends, but Dirk wasn't looking like that in year 20. He could barely get up and down that thing. You know what I mean? Vince Carter, 20 years, he was still gliding, but he wasn't flying no more. You know what I mean? It's just, so a lot of guys, to get back to the point, a lot of guys just stay maybe 2 years longer than they probably should. And, they still have incredible years, and most people don't remember those later years. But for somebody like myself who didn't have that long of a career, I just felt like, just leave while you're on top. Leave while you feel like, you put your best, you gave it your all. And I left with no regrets. It wasn't like I want to try to come back or I feel bad for leaving. I left the game with no regrets, and I'm happy about everything I accomplished. I'm still on a few leaderboards for the Cavs.
There you go. How do you feel now? I mean, are your injuries that you had back then, are they healed? Could you go out and play a pickup game if you wanted to and not worry about blowing something out?
And that's the beauty of it. Retiring so early, right now, when after every game or before every game, I play one-on-one with one of the guys that I was working out with, just to get him ready for the game. Or when we working out, doing drills, doing practice, I'm jumping in with the guys and I'm literally showing them what it is that I'm telling them. You know what I mean? And so I gain a lot of respect like that and a lot of love from them. Man, Booby can still go, you know what I mean? But he's here trying to help us get there. And I feel like that just gives you that much more respect, and you just connect more with the guys. So yeah, right now I can still, if they needed me for game 1, I could give them 10. I can stay in the corner and make a 3.
What Scott's kind of wondering, Booby, is he wants to see if you still have it, because he wants to play you one-on-one, is what he's trying to say.
Oh yeah. We could just send the proceeds to the D Gibb hoops back home, get my guys some shoes or something like that. I'll give him. We can go to 10. I'll give him 9. We see what happens.
Ooh. It's funny. We would play basketball in the driveway growing up, here in Cleveland, and we were obviously big Cavs fans, still are. My hero growing up was Mark Price, and we've had him on the podcast, and I've interviewed him a few times for Fox 8 here. And Mark was telling us that he could still beat people. He still beats his sons who are now either in college or out of college. I played D1, and he still has it. And I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see a former player. I know he's older. But it's just like, I find that so fascinating. Like, as a former professional athlete, you still have that drive, and I think it's so really cool.
And intensity.
You might not be able, you're going to always have that competitive spirit. You might not be able to fly or jump as high, but the thing about playing, especially guys like me and Mark, the thing about playing at the NBA level is we have to figure out the craftiest ways to find buckets, the craftiest ways to make shots. So imagine if we no longer playing against 7-footers no more. We playing against 6'2", 6'3" guys in the open gym or LA Fitness. This is still going. You don't really got to be able to jump high no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can just be crafty, and so I think our skill level is pretty high. I think as long as we can run a little bit, we'll be a problem for anybody.
I got to ask you, in your time with the Cavs, did Mark Price I know you met him, but did he ever help you or give you pointers back in those days? And you knew of him, obviously, right? Before that?
Yeah, obviously. Big basketball fan, big fan of his. But while I was playing, I probably came across him, like at any event or something like that. But never like he wasn't around like the court or around us like while we were playing. I had a few old guys on my team. When you think about the David Wesleys and the Eric Snows and the Damon Jones, like they were old when I got there. But I didn't get any vet love from Mark Price.
Well, and to come to think of it, I should have thought about this. At that time, Booby, he was a shooting coach and assistant coach through a number of teams. So he was probably, coaching against you. I mean, he was with the Magic, I think, at one time, the Hornets, the Hawks. God, I know there's a bunch of other ones there too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
that's why he said he could outshoot me. He was right here being a shooting coach for the pros. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he was with the Hornets, one of his last years in the NBA as an assistant coach, he helped reinvent Michael Kidd Gilchrist's shot.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
If he did that, he's the greatest shooting coach of all time. Because that jumper right there was something to see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he got it. Did he get that elbow in?
He got that elbow in, yep.
Got it in.
Yeah. You got to get that. What was that called growing up? Like the beef, balance, eyes,
elbow.
Oh, yours is
called. Yeah, like some people, whenever I say that, they be like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was called beef." Yeah, balance, elbow, eyes on the rim, follow through.
Follow through. That's right. Mm-hmm. So you were on some historic Cavaliers teams, 260 win teams, which is impressive enough. I mean, finals appearance in 2007. I mean, walk me through that. I was watching those teams in college at Kent State University, watching every single game. Yeah. What was it like to be on those teams?
I got a lot done in a short amount of time. I went straight to the finals my rookie year.
Yeah, you did.
It was amazing. That's the word that comes to mind. It was special. Coming in, Brian really like took me under his wing like right away. He was actually the culprit, or he was like one of the leading voices in wanting the Cavs to draft me that year. And then from day one, we was in the gym before and after practicing. So just being able to like just watch him, learn from him, and just experience the league with the best player in the game at the time is really something that's hard to describe. And also have him like trust you and guide you and want to see you be successful. So I just feel like the best part about those teams, those 60-win teams, is just how together we were. Like if you go back and look at everybody had the handshakes before. We was taking pictures, making the other team, man. We had the Goosies. We started the whole trend with the threes. And it was just always an experience, but it always came from our camaraderie, like our togetherness. And that was the best part about it. Like when you go back to that 2016, when you can't look at that roster and say we just had like the most talented team in the NBA. We just had obviously LeBron James, but we had a lot of guys that accepted their roles and mastered their roles. When you go from Z to Andy to Drew, like I feel like that was the beauty of that time. And like when I talk to fans and they talk about it, it's always about how hard those teams played and how much fun that was to watch. Like guys being willing to leave it all on the floor. So that was the experience for me, man. That was just something I'll never forget, something I can never duplicate, and some of the best years of my life.
Was there a lot of pressure from LeBron to win? And I say that because I remember right at the beginning of COVID, I watched The Last Dance, and you watch Jordan, and he was ruthless with his teammates. It was win and everything else down, and he's probably up here when it comes to that intensity. Yeah. Did LeBron have intensity like that, or was it different?
It was a little different because when Bron come in, he class clown. He gonna come in and have everybody laughing. He gonna be the star of the show. But when it's time to play, he's one of the most intelligent, like study basketball players you'll ever find. Like he really knows the game, and so that part he brings pressure because he want to make sure that you're just as prepared as he is. But when it came to the floor, like he trusts us all in situations. End of the game, it don't matter if you're open. He found me on a couple game winners. I could think of Danielle Marshall, where his leadership was different, but he did demand a certain level of you on the floor. And I feel like that's what I see with some of the other Laker teams or some of the guys that it's tough to play with them. Because I feel like if you're not prepared as he is or willing to go as far as he will, then you'll see him kind of, he won't do it directly at you, but you'll see the energy of his frustration just coming off of him. I don't think he can't hide that.
When he would get into the zone, did a switch flip, or was it something that would build over time?
I think it was a little bit of both, because I feel like a lot of times he would work the game, let everybody get shots, let everybody, work themselves into the game. But then there would be a moment in the game where he either looked at the score or looked at the time and was like, okay, it's time for me to go. And I just feel like he was building himself throughout the game, but I just feel like he knew when to take over games. And it's another moment that's just, I remember watching him in that game 5 before the game 6 when he scored like 28 in a row, including overtime. That moment, I was like, I think I'm on the floor with the best player to ever lace him up. Like that was like one of those like in awe moments. But that was just the way he had about like leadership. A lot of people say killer instinct and all that. Like, okay, if you don't think he got a killer instinct, try to guard him or stop him from winning. And I bet you'll feel different about that answer.
How was your relationship during those years? I know there was a couple times I remember reading somewhere where I don't know if it was like some passive aggressive stuff LeBron has done in the past in both eras of the Cavs and the Heat. And sometimes it could rub some of the players the wrong way. But how was that when you'd see it, or maybe you're on the receiving end? And then how was your relationship now or then versus now? And do you still keep in contact with Bron?
Yeah, like I missed it all because I was more of like, little bro and like an appreciation of, him trusting me in situations like game 6. That don't happen without him trusting me, in that moment, or moving forward, like trusting me to work out with him in the summertime or trusting me to be around. So I never really got like those vibes from him. I know when he left to go to Miami, like everybody was kind of pissed because, you want him to stay and you feel like y'all have an opportunity to win. You don't really think about the business aspect of it. And I feel like a lot of people were mad because of like when he left, like we weren't able to get any other free agents because it was like so late or whatever in the free agency. But, guys in the league and guys that like get traded without being able to tell your family where you're going next, like you have a different understanding of the business of basketball. So you don't take that sort of thing personal. If somebody decides to take their career in their own hands. So I just look at it different. He was big brother to me then, and he big brother to me now. I saw him this when the Lakers came this year. He told me how proud of me he was for me, taking the charge job. And every year, I get to see him when he comes to town. Or I lived in LA for the last 5 or 6 years too. So the relationship is still strong. I potentially could even sign with Rich Paul and his agency this summer too. So
yeah,
still
Clutch
going
Sports.
strong.
There you good. That's very good. And they're obviously placed their footprint in the NBA. That's for sure. I've always wondered this, and I've asked a few different NBA players this question, and I wanted to get your opinion now that you're retired and you've seen how much the league has changed in such a short amount of time on and off the court. What is it about free agents that don't like coming to Cleveland?
It don't got the sunshine that Miami and LA got. It don't got the market that New York, Boston, or Chicago has. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. It's like even Houston has, just a little sunshine. Like when people think about Cleveland, they just think snow. They just think cold. And you know what I mean? So it's like, I really feel like when you in free agency, obviously you look at the players on the team and like where you can have the biggest impact. But you also look at like, where you want to live and where to be most, fun, or even off the court where you'll have more opportunities to make money.
Yeah, and I get that. And it's kind of like the obvious, but it's just so funny to me because basketball is a winter sport, right? And the majority of the country is cold during basketball season, not just Cleveland, Milwaukee, Toronto. New York's different, obviously, because it's New York, Boston, Philly. I always felt like there's more to that than just the weather point, but maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, no, but even when you get to, you got your Philadelphia's, but it's just, those are like bigger markets though,
Sure.
Bigger markets. So when you think about other opportunities to make money off the floor, whether that's shoe sales, whether that's any other branding opportunities, though, all that comes into play when you're a business. So when you talking to your agent and y'all talking about where we gonna go, it's what team can I have the most impact on, and where do I have the opportunity to make the most money while I'm at my highest form? If we're talking about top tier free agents,
sure,
guys that have the option to pick from anywhere, that's normally like what it comes. Well, I feel like what it comes down to, if they're not teaming up with somebody.
We'll have more with Daniel Gibson right after this.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Hey, I'm Jason.
And I'm Gary, and we love ball cards.
And if you love ball cards too, good news. You just found your new favorite podcast. From breaks to grading.
And from collecting to flipping, join us on the Ball Card Show.
The sports podcast for the sports collector.
What's up, everyone? Chase Smith here, host of the Chase Smith Podcast, and my podcast reflects who I am. My hobbies, my interests, my passions, my curiosities, my careers, my questions, and my family. I'll spend time talking about all types of sports, movies, TV shows, trending news stories, and other cultural events, and even faith. This is who I am, and I hope I can get to know you as well. Join me on the Chase Smith Podcast, and let's have some thought-provoking conversations, only on the Press Play Podcast Network.
All right, so let's talk about this current Cavs team. I mean, they're all set to face the New York Knicks.
Yes, sir.
What do you think? I mean, you got to be picking the Cavs here, but give us how many games. What are we looking for?
Well, I feel like it's pretty tight series. I feel like each game I watched this year, like the Knicks had their way, the Cavs had their way. And I feel like it could go either way. I'm thankful that we have the home court advantage. That's why I'm picking us. But I do feel like it will be a series to where we're going to have to figure some things out, because Tibbs is a hell of a coach, and they're going to have to figure things out because JB is a hell of a coach. We finished the year as the number one defense in the league. So I feel like it's going to be one of those series, though, like old school, like physical, like blood in the mob. Like, I feel like it's gonna be like the toughest team is gonna win. Like the team that leaves their impact, that hits first, I feel like will be the team to win. And us being at home, I feel like gives us the upper hand.
Do any of the current Cavs players that you know and practice with remind you of any players you played with, or maybe the vibe with this team, the chemistry? Is there any similarities between some of those 06 to 10 teams with LeBron, or maybe even after that? I know those lean years after he left, your last few years. Any similarities? And there may not be. I was just curious because you've had such a chemistry-driven, everyone got along in those LeBron years, and it's that way this time. And everyone, when I'm at practice or games or whatever, like you see it. It is real. Like these guys hang out all the time. Donovan and Darius and Mobley, and of course they go to high school basketball games every once in a while when they're here. They bond. There's a lot of bonding here. Scott and I were at Media Day and talked to Dean Wade and Chetty and Lamar Stevens. I mean, like these, even the role players and bench guys, like it just fits in seamlessly.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I think that I would say that this team, me being around them, I get the energy in the building that I did when Bron was here, or when those years when I played. Just that expectation for them to play well, that belief that we're going to win. Like the cheers are a little different when you kind of know you're going to lose. It's like, oh, I hope we win. But like now it's like that raw, like let's go, like type of vibe. And I think that energy will be great for these guys in the playoffs. But as far as like similarities in players, I like to snatch DG, even though he's like, I feel like so much better of a ball handler than I was. But I feel like his mentality and his energy and his infectious way that he plays becomes contagious throughout the team, like the way that I played. Like, just that when you get to smiling and just doing your thing, all of a sudden everybody feels like, oh, we should be having fun out here. Like this is fun to do. And then I even, when it comes to a kid like Evan, I want to start to put him in that LeBron James sort of tier. Like I know he's young now, but I just feel like just watching him progress like this whole season, I just saw more and more assertiveness. And by that LeBron tier, I mean just a guy with that unique ability that like you just can't teach it. They just born with it and only they have it. I think Evan Mobley possesses that, and I see him working every single day, and I just feel like if he continues to take the steps that I believe he will, him, Darius, and Don, and even Fro, it's gonna be fun to watch for a lot of years to come. So I think the chemistry is great, and they're their own team, but I feel the similarities in the togetherness from our group.
Real quick question about Evan Mobley. There had been big expectations with him and comparisons out of college and then his rookie year. I mean, Daniel, you've heard of him.
Should have been rookie of the year, but
yeah, he should have been. I mean, come on. I mean, he's having a way better sophomore year in the NBA than Scotty Barnes is. Let's just be honest.
He should. No, I love Scotty Barnes, but
I do too.
I just in that he should have been rookie of the year.
I agree.
I think he earned that.
I think some of the advanced metrics swayed voters to Scotty Barnes instead. But, there have been comps of the body frame and what he needs to work on, perimeter shooting, maybe being stronger, tougher, which is going to come because he's still so young. Comps of like a Kevin Garnett, a little bit of a Kevin Durant too, in a little ways too.
That's the uniqueness. Yeah.
You don't see a frame like that very often in the league, but I mean, the sky is the limit with this young man. I mean, I think as fans, and I'm guilty as a member of the media, we wanted to see even a bigger jump, maybe with some of the things, and he's had a great year and he might very well win Defensive Player of the Year. But I think because of his ceiling is so high, he is going to be a superstar, and he's going to get there at some point. I think we all need to be patient about it. But do you agree?
You have to be patient about it. But I could see if Evan was here by himself, just the Cavs winning 15 games, losing 60, then then the jump would probably happen a lot sooner because he'd be taking a lot, taking a lot more shots, depending on the score more. But he's on a good team, a team that has home court advantage in the first round of playoffs. So we have to allow him to. He got other guys on his team that's eating too. So he's trying to figure out how to work with these guys while taking that step. And I feel like that was the step that I started to see this year, having other all-star caliber players on your team, and then those guys starting to be like, oh, well, let me get him the ball right here because something's good is going to happen when he gets it. And when that starts to happen, that's when you start to see that shift. And I saw that a lot this year. I saw those guys start to trust him and have faith that, he's the best player on the floor at the time. And so I think more and more that'll happen. More and more consistency will come because the work is there. And he's in a great situation, man. He got all the guys around him are his age, so they'll be able to all grow together. So I'm just glad that I'm a part of this organization right now as it's starting to ascend and just take its rightful place in basketball.
So we're talking playoff basketball with the Knicks. You gotta think about, playing in the Garden. Playoff basketball. The Garden's been around for 100 years. What's it like playing in the Garden? One of the, honestly, one of the most iconic facilities on earth.
There's only a couple places that you play in where it kind of feel like you're on a movie set. It feels like you really in a movie. So Madison Square Garden is one. Boston is another one. And LA. And I don't know if it's because in LA and New York, they dim the lights everywhere else. So it's like the court is the stage. Maybe that's it. But it ain't nothing like having a big game in one of those arenas, because it just feels like you just putting on a show. And that's the entertainment value. When you work so hard to work on your skills, and then you could be in a zone and help your team win in a moment like that. There's no better feeling for a basketball player other than winning a championship to have one of those type of games in one of those historic settings and historic arenas.
So, we all know about Donovan Mitchell, right? With the franchise and what he's been able to do. Where do you see this team going in the next 3 years with him and the rest of the guys, this young core?
You got to think championship. I feel like you got to think championship. You got to think that. I feel like right now, we're on the cusp of it. We're young, so I feel like that's the knock. There has to be some experience there. There has to be some struggles, some trials, some opportunities, some challenges, a place for us to grow as a team. So I feel like that, but even then, like I said, I went to the finals my rookie year. So there's also the benefit of not knowing. There's just the benefit of just getting out there and just playing and just using everything you learned throughout the season and just not being afraid of the moment because you don't really know what the moment is. So there's that. But I just feel like, we're right there on the cusp of it. And when you think about Donovan growing for another year, when you think about the jump we're talking about Evan making, we think about Darius, and you think about Fro, when you think about the group that we have, that I feel like those four are core pieces that are going to be intact.
Yeah.
You just continue to add and pull and pluck, and you just hope that, they put a run together, because right now I feel like it's pretty wide open. I know the West, did they shake up, and then the East kind of has their teams that was been sitting up top all year. But I feel like it's wide open for anybody that wants to snatch the throne, because the king only has so long. Somebody got to come through here and claim it.
How much longer do you think he's playing, by the way, LeBron? You said king.
I hope he play 5 more years. I just love greatness. I don't know how long the run will go, but I feel like I would have said 17 would have been enough. But if you look with 20 and he averages 30, what can you say?
He's got a lot of miles on him, but he's still going.
Nothing's out of the question for this guy. I used to check his locker to see if he had a battery plug that he was charging up on, because I don't really think he's full human. I think it's some other things. He's bionic somewhere. I think it's his left leg, the leg he jumps off of the dunk. I think it's a bionic leg. I don't think it's real.
All right, Daniel, a couple more things, then we'll let you go. But we have 2 segments here we want to get through. This is a new one. We have a new listener question segment where listeners of the pod either tweet or DM us questions for our guests. And this is the first time we're doing this, and you're the first one up. So I love the fans. Yeah, the fans are great. We got 3 questions here from some fans, and then we'll go through some rapid fire fun questions. So, first up, we have he goes by Juicy from Lewis Center down in Columbus. He asks, how did you celebrate after your Game 6 performance? You had 31 points. You kind of talked about it earlier in the pod. You had 31 points, 5 for 5 from the 3-point line in that game against the Pistons back in 2007. How did you celebrate after that one?
Hey, you know what? I don't know. I mean, I can say it now because I'm grown. I was 19. I couldn't even get in the club, but you better believe I was in the club that night. And even driving to the club, it was the greatest experience ever. I call myself trying to be a man of the people. So I pull out of the players' garage and I decide to stick my head out of the top of my Escalade. I'm like, yeah. And all it took is for somebody to say like Booby, and the fans just rushed, and they were saying yeah with me, but like my truck was just I'm like we still got the finals to play. We got to calm down a little bit, but it was one of those nights, but it was a night to remember for sure.
Femi from University Heights wants to know, playing with LeBron, how did he impact your game? What did you learn from him? You guys are 2 different players, but what did you learn from him watching him over the years?
I just learned that you don't get nothing without work. I felt like every day me and LeBron, we used to compete to be the first person at the gym to get the most work in. And I was like, how is the best player in the world that already averaging 30 points a game still trying to be here before me, somebody that's trying to just make a name for himself or just even get in the league? So that just showed me that there is levels to it. There's levels to talent, and there's also levels to work. And if you want to have an opportunity to be successful in this league, if the best player in the league is working as hard, then I got that much harder that I have to work to have an opportunity. So he just taught me the value of work just by me watching him get in that gym every day, and the way that he took care of his body. I took that from him as well.
Evan Clowers from Powell, another Columbus suburb, that's how far we're reaching here, wants to know, who were your favorite Cavaliers teammates?
My favorite of all time is Andy. I feel like every minute I played on the basketball floor, I think I was on the court with Anderson Varejao. So he would be my favorite of all time. Damon Jones is another one. He was my vet, probably the funniest teammate I had of all time. Between him and Delonte West, those were 2 of the funniest guys I've ever been around. And big bro, Bron is bringing up that group too. But my favorite one of all time would have been Andy V. Wild thing.
And some of those teams you guys still keep in contact a lot with, right?
Oh yeah, even Jamario Moon. The beauty of social media is that you really keep in touch with everybody. All it takes is for somebody to see your page pop up, and then you just send them a DM or send them a message on as opposed to even having a number. You know what I mean? So I still on down the list. Mo Williams, he just got the job. What is it? Jackson State. All of the guys, I still end up passing a message here and there, because we definitely, the NBA is a brotherhood for sure.
All right, Daniel, last segment. This is our fun segment here. Rapid fire questions. They can be 1-word answers. They can be a couple words. The questions are pretty easy. All right, we're going to start off with this one. What's your favorite Cavs memory? We touched on a few things already, but what for you, when you think of the Cavs, what comes to mind right off the bat?
Game 6, going to the Eastern Conference, going to the NBA Finals for the first time, and just seeing all of the fans outside of that building, just from the one, because they used to watch it on the screen outside, just seeing all the fans outside, best feeling ever. Hearing Coach Brown say, "Shoot it, Booby, shoot it," knowing we was going to the finals, best feeling ever.
I remember that night vividly too. Favorite restaurant in Cleveland? Let's do this as a player and then now, or maybe it's the same.
As a player, I would say XO's.
I knew you were going to say that. That was your guys' post-game spot there.
Because they let us used to go in the back, and we could stay in there we could stay in there as long as we wanted to. So
and now, unfortunately, after COVID, that closed.
And so with that being said, man, you guys should go support the owner, Zdenko. He now owns the Jade in the flats. It's like a sushi bar.
Okay.
Great food, same kind of vibe. So I know I was talking to him about doing some things for the playoffs over there or whatever. So it's in the flats, man. It's a nice little sushi spot. Y'all should check
All right.
it out.
I love sushi, so I'll definitely have to hit that up. That's fun.
What's your favorite visiting city and arena?
Oh, and my favorite restaurant here is Double Nickel. It's downtown.
Gotcha.
And you said what was my favorite visit?
Visiting arena and city. Yeah, if you had to pick one outside of Cleveland.
I mean, I don't feel like the Lakers is so cliche. Like everybody likes to play there. I always played well in Oklahoma City. I don't know what it was about that arena, or I don't know what it was, but I always shot the ball where that. And I want to say that was where I won the rookie sophomore game MVP. It could have been New Orleans. It was either because they were back-to-back years, I believe, where we went to the both places. So they kind of fused together. But OKC. And then what was the second part of that question? Or was that it? Just the visiting arena?
Same thing. Yeah, visiting arena, visiting city. Oklahoma City sounds like the place.
Oh, yeah. I would say Miami was probably the most fun to go to, obviously. And OKC was probably the best building to play in.
All right, we got a few more left. So I've got to ask it, but who's the GOAT in your opinion? Is it LeBron or is it MJ?
I don't want to be politically correct, but I just answer it the same way every time anybody asks me. That's like they both are GOATed because I feel like Jordan is like your scorer. You know, he's I'm going to lead the league in scoring 9 years in a row, but Bron is I'm going to do everything on the floor. So it just depends on what you want. And because that was my teammate and my brother, and I watched him destroy guys, I got to go with Bron.
What's your favorite hobby outside of basketball?
My favorite hobby is bowling. I take anybody down in bowling. So anybody want to try me, you can catch me at the corner alley.
How many times have you bowled 300?
I ain't got 300 yet, but I got I blew it at the end. I want to say like 297. I got like 260. I didn't got close. That's when I have my own ball though. But out here I just kind of go and just bowl for fun. But when I'm in it, I can shoot it like I can bowl like I shoot a little bit.
How many of your former game issued jerseys or shoes do you still own from your Cavs team?
Probably I would say total. I got some. I want to say maybe like 10, because if I say I got like four that I got on my wall back home in Houston. I think my mom has a couple, and then I think I might have like 3 or so, like just around here. Probably total of 10. I really like the ones I got are like whenever we would do like the throwback jerseys or like the custom jerseys or those, like I kept a lot of those.
Did you have a favorite Cavalier uniform you wore? Because you wore quite a few of them. Because they changed them after LeBron left, but then they did have some of those special throwbacks.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think I actually liked it was like a blue and yellow. It was like almost like a cartoon.
Oh yeah, it was called the Feather because that was the original throwback, but they it was called a Fanatic Design, Cav Fanatic Design, and they, instead of having it being wine and gold, which was the second ever jersey combo that they had when the Cavs were created in the 70s, they made it like a light blue or royal blue and yellow. I think, right?
Yeah, it was yellow. Okay. So my favorite colors, I like the baby blue one though. That's probably my favorite Cavs jersey of all time. Not the baby blue, but the black with the orange and the light blue. That colorway, that one, I like that one. But the one that I played in, I feel like I had a couple of my best games in the blue and feather.
Favorite show you're streaming right now?
I just watched Beef. Yeah, I heard that one. It's a new one. It just came out. It's about like two people that had road rage, and it just escalated to like the point of no return. And so I'm at the episode now where I think they finna go to jail or something. It's like it's all.
Check that out.
I would imagine on some of these road trips and stuff, if you're not watching film on your iPad or something, you're maybe trying to unwind a little bit by streaming shows or movies or something.
Yeah. I'm definitely a streamer. I love watching movies. I love finding me a good show that I can binge outside of when I'm not probably watching recruiting some kid or watching some college player that I feel like is gonna be the next NBA star. When I'm not doing that, for sure. When I want to chill, I'm a big time streamer.
All right, last one. Do the Cavs win a title in the next 5 years?
Yes.
Ooh, you didn't hesitate one bit there.
Yes. I just feel like, all of the pieces are being put into place. We have a core that can, if they grow the right way. So if you're saying 5 years, I feel like that's the 5-year plan with the core four that we have here now. It gotta be the plan to try to get us a championship in the next 5 years. I feel like Donovan Mitchell is the best shooting guard in the game right now. So I would think we got a nice shot at it.
And make sure you tell him that I said that he should sign a long-term extension.
Gotcha. I make sure I let him know tomorrow, right before the game.
There you go.
Daniel, it's been fun here for the last almost an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, talking with you, reliving the times back. I mean, you're making me sound old, back in the mid 2000s, but man, that was a good time. It seems like it was yesterday. You had a lot of great stories. We want to thank you for being on our podcast, and we want to plug your podcast too. You got Booby's World. You're launching that podcast.
Yes.
Where can people find that podcast?
Yeah, Booby's World, man. It's on right now. We just streaming live from Twitter, so you can catch me whenever. We have random times where we drop it, but if you follow my Instagram or follow my Twitter at all, I'm always retweeting the show. You can follow the show, the Booby's World show, on Instagram in order to get the updates on time and be able to know when we streaming live. But yeah, I just get on there and we just talk hoops, talk basketball, talk life, and just have some fun.
Fantastic. Daniel Booby Gibson, it's been a pleasure. We'd love to have you on another time when maybe in the off season, and we'll hook up again, I'm sure, in the next couple months and down the road, maybe next season.
Anytime you guys want, anytime you guys need, just give me a ring, man. I'm always outside, and I'm always wanting to talk basketball, man. So anytime.
Daniel, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. Go Cavs, and Game 1, Cavs and Knicks. Tip-off coming up here Saturday at 6, and the rest of the schedule just came out. Game 2 coming up on Tuesday. So I know wherever all the Cavs fans are going to be, they're going to be parked on their couch, at a bar, at the game, at the watch parties, you name it, they'll be watching. And hopefully we'll be talking hopefully a win, but also hopefully a series win as we go into the second round. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you haven't already, click subscribe on Twitter, on all different platforms that you can find us on, Spotify, Apple as well. Follow us on Twitter at Sabol Brothers. Follow yours truly at John_Sabol.
And you can follow me at Scott Sabol FOX8. Daniel Booby Gibson, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. You guys have a great night.